Hello again, people. Welcome back to my channel. Those that have been good enough to follow me over the time I've been on YouTube will maybe have noticed that for the last few months I've dropped out of scene. And that is mainly because of my health, actually. I've had some ongoing health issues, which actually I'll talk briefly about now. They've actually been going on for some time, but I didn't really realize, as you don't, that something was starting to go amiss. You just accept, you tend to accept the differences because they're so minuscule that you don't really notice it, but they're developing more and more all the time. Now, let me just explain. The problem I have significantly is with losing my body strength. And it started with my legs and walking. And I did go and see the doctor at the clinic, etc. And they done some tests, and they suggested that they thought I was suffering from what they called this long version of COVID, which in actual fact has nothing to do with COVID itself. It's to do with the vaccinations that they gave you at the time. And the ongoing part of that is that, I've been taking these Pfizer vaccinations. I had two of them. And in the interim, I did travel back to the UK a couple of times. And when I got back to the cold, I did find my walking was much more difficult. And I put it down to the cold because the cold hits me badly now because I'm acclimatized to Thailand. When I go back to the UK, it is quite difficult for me to walk. So for a couple of years, I've been trying to avoid going back to the UK. And then I found here when I went out in the heat, and we've had some very, very extended hot periods here, when it shouldn't have been so hot, but we're getting feel like temperatures in the 40s, which is unbelievably hot, and you cannot move around. And I kind of forgot about the cold, and then thinking that the heat was limiting my mobility. Well, some people might remember that in March of this year, I planned to take a trip to Scotland with my family, with my wife and my daughter Sandra, and we were going to go and do a trip around Scotland. And I hoped that because it was going to be cooler there, we were going in February and or the beginning of March and coming back in the beginning of April. I hoped that it would help me a lot because it was a cooler temperature and the mobility thing. And it seemed a good idea at the time. A bit of cold, you can put some extra clothing on, etc., scarves and hats and gloves, and it might be manageable. That is what I thought. But we flew from Bangkok to London, and as soon as we got off the plane, I knew it was a mistake. I felt the cold, and I felt the problems associated with the cold onset immediately. I could hardly walk any distance. I certainly couldn't lift the cases and the bags, etc. Only enough to put them on a trolley and go that way. And fortunately, my wife, she's a strong girl, and she without her the holiday would have been an absolute disaster. But we had planned to do things and a lot of journeys around the country by train, etc. And just getting the train from the Heathrow Airport into London, and then getting sorted out of Paddington and going north on the west coastline was hard going. And I decided the first day that we're not going to be able to carry on with the train, that the only way we're going to manage to get a holiday out of this is if I rent a car, which fortunately I did. Now, just while I'm talking about this, and it might be of interest to a lot of people actually, is that renting a car, I was a bit worried because my UK license had expired. And as I'm well over 65, in fact, I'm now approaching 76, I was worried about if I'd even be able to hire a car. But I went into Arnold Clark and they had no problem at all. They hired it out against my Thai license, which actually made things a lot easier because I didn't have to give UK credit cards or anything to provide some sort of guarantee on the hire. They just took my payment by debit card, and there was no problems. It was very, very easy. And we then put the cases in the back of the car, and that was the way we travelled around Scotland. I won't go into the journey now. It was around Scotland, other than to say it was definitely my last trip back to Scotland. I won't see Scotland again. Some people may say that's a good thing. I don't think so. I still miss the country sometimes, and the people and the attitudes. And even though the world is changing quite dramatically, I still kind of miss the country, as we all miss our home countries normally. Anyway. So anyway, we travelled around, and we ended up trying to get some warmer weather. We ended up changing our program and heading down to Portsmouth, and spent the last 4 or 5 days in Portsmouth, which was a bit better weather-wise, but my mobility was severely handicapped, and I couldn't walk more than 50 to 100 meters without having to rest and recover. And we had to bear that in mind all the time. And just another instance was we had planned to go up the Royal Mile in Edinburgh and go up to the Edinburgh Castle. And I ended up sitting in Waverley Station in a cafe there while Sandra and they went off to visit the castle and hopefully see the 1 o'clock, hear the 1 o'clock gun go off in Edinburgh. And I waited for them down in the Waverley Station. So that's that. And we've come back to Thailand, and things are not getting any better. They're getting quite worse, actually. I don't want to go into some of the intricacies. There's been a couple of other developments since we got back, and I know I'm not going to fully recover from whatever's happened. I'm not going to fully recover from it, I'm sure. And I'm just taking it day by day and week by week and month by month, and I'm enjoying my life. And I know I'm limited to what I can do. My wife, she knows that I'm limited to what I can do. She helps me a lot. She's considering it all the time. Can I do this? Can I do that? And she advises and helps a lot. Thank God. Thank God a lot for her helping me. So that's the reason I've not been on YouTube for quite some time, and I've been sort of thinking about it and trying to get the energy together. But I'm thinking now, I need to keep something. My brain, I think, is still okay, and I want to put it back into action and get it thinking. So I'm getting my YouTube back on to going again, and there's lots of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Pattaya, how Pattaya is now. I want to talk about people coming to settle in Pattaya. I hear a lot of people talking online. I see a lot of people talking online about what they can do if they come to some place like Pattaya to make more money, because they don't have enough to retire here and they want to supplement their income. Well, I have got several suggestions, and one main one, because I used to teach English online, and I know some very, very good tips and ways to anybody that's interested in taking up teaching English online. I can probably point them in a very good direction where they can specialize in the teaching aspect and get a lot of good students that are willing to pay a premium for what they can learn from people, like from what I did, and I looked at some special aspects of people looking at learning English. Enough said about that just now. But that will be a video coming very, very soon. If you want to watch it, please. I don't like saying this, but if you can subscribe and ring the bell and give me a like, then it's appreciated. I also want to talk about what's happening in Pattaya. As I said, big changes in Pattaya. And I don't think it's ever going to come back to the way it was. And I'll discuss that in one of the upcoming videos. The tourist mix here in Pattaya is much different to what it was 5 years ago. Much different, and that's affecting a lot of people. I want to talk to you. I want to make a video and talk to you about the people that come here and want to open bars, and they think that opening a bar is a good idea. You know, for many years, I've been associated with Pattaya since the 90s, and lots of people have had the idea of opening bars, and I've seen lots of people coming here and losing all their money in the bar, buying or renting bars and totally losing it all. And I'm going to do a video about that because very recently I met an Irish guy actually, and we got talking quite well. And he actually quite recently opened a bar, and he got a very interesting story. And I want to make a video about that very soon, actually, because what happened to him, I think, is a big lesson for many people that might have a similar idea. So we're going to talk about opening bars. How things have changed here in Pattaya, the prices of things, people coming here, what they can relatively expect to spend here. You know, I see so many videos, how much a budget is for living here in Pattaya or living in Phuket or whatever, you know. Absolute rubbish, you know, because if you're working at a budget, how long is a piece of string? No two people are the same. So my priorities when I live here will be totally different to your priorities. So how can I tell you how much you're going to spend when I don't know nothing about you? And the way I do things is not going to apply to you either. So we're both going to be in a bit of a difference, and very hard to tell you what you're going to spend. I can tell you where you can waste a lot of money, and I can help you in some of the things I do. And we'll talk about that in an upcoming video. So once again, it's coming up. Just recently, actually, on YouTube, something I wanted. I see videos from America and from also from the UK about people selling up, giving up everything, selling their homes, and coming here to Thailand with what the savings they've got and what they're making, and they obviously know that they don't have enough money to survive, and it's they think they're going to supplement it somehow when they come here, and they can survive. Well, to me, it's foolish, and I know it's very hard to stay put. But if you know your own country, like the UK, and you are surviving, I would strongly recommend you don't take a chance and come here and come to Thailand and think you can wing it, because the chances are you will fail and you'll lose everything, and you'll go back. You'll either end up homeless here, sleeping in the Coconut Hotel, which is the beach, or it won't end up good, that's for sure. So that's where we're going. I think I've nattered on long enough now. Thank you again for coming back and having a look at my video. And I hope you'll start following me again. And I'll try to do a new video every 2 or 3 days and talk about a lot of the subjects. And I'll also talk about those people that are interested in coming here and starting a YouTube channel. and thinking that they can develop it strongly here. Maybe you can, but watch the video when I make it, because maybe you can't. Okay, thank you for watching, and for now, take care.